Upbeat, intriguing music starts and fades slightly into the background. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into history to uncover a story so far ahead of its time, it sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie. Imagine it's the year 1500. The world is powered by muscle, wind, and water. The idea of flying is pure fantasy, reserved for myths and legends. Yet, in a cluttered workshop in Italy, one man was sketching out a machine that wouldn't become a reality for another 400 years. We're talking about the incredible mind of Leonardo da Vinci and his Ariel screw, the very first concept for a helicopter. So, what exactly was this Ariel screw? Picture this: a large, spiral-shaped structure, much like a modern corkscrew, made of reed, linen, and wire. Leonardo's theory was brilliant in its simplicity. He observed that air, like water, has density. Just as a screw bores into wood, he believed his Ariel screw, if rotated fast enough, could screw itself upwards into the air, lifting the machine and its pilot off the ground. The design featured a central mast and a circular platform for the operator. The power, human. Leonardo envisioned for men pushing on bars, spinning the massive screw like a carousel, generating the lift needed for flight. It was a revolutionary concept, a breathtaking leap of imagination that defied the very limits of his era. Of course, Leonardo, being the meticulous genius he was, didn't just doodle this on a napkin. His notebooks, which are priceless treasures today, are filled with detailed diagrams, calculations, and observations about the nature of flight. He studied the wings of birds and bats, analyzing how they generated lift and maneuvered through the air. He wrote, "I have divided the treatise on birds into 4 books. The first treats of their flight by flapping their wings. The second of the flight without flapping the wings and with the help of the wind. The third of flight in general, such as that of birds, bats, fishes, and insects. The last of the mechanism of this movement." This systematic, scientific approach to a problem that seemed impossible is what truly set him apart. The Ariel screw wasn't just a fantasy, it was an engineering hypothesis based on empirical observation. But this raises the million-dollar question: could it have actually worked? Well, modern engineers and historians have debated this for centuries. The consensus is probably not. There were a few major hurdles. First, the materials. The sheer weight of a wooden and linen structure of that size would have been immense. Even for strong men pushing with all their might, it is highly unlikely they could have generated enough rotational speed to overcome the machine's own weight and create lift. The power-to-weight ratio was simply stacked against them. Modern helicopters rely on powerful, lightweight engines and advanced aerodynamics that were centuries away. Another significant issue is torque. If you've ever seen a single-rotor helicopter, you'll notice it has a smaller rotor on its tail. This tail rotor counteracts the main rotor's torque, preventing the body of the helicopter from spinning uncontrollably in the opposite direction. Leonardo's design had no such mechanism. If, by some miracle, the men managed to spin the screw fast enough to generate lift, the platform they were standing on would have likely started spinning wildly in the opposite direction, making it impossible to control and incredibly dangerous. It is a fundamental principle of physics that even a mind as brilliant as Leonardo's hadn't fully accounted for in this specific design. Despite these practical limitations, we have to appreciate the sheer audacity of the concept. Leonardo never actually built a full-scale model of his Ariel screw. He was a realist. He likely understood the limitations of the materials and power sources available to him. For him, the design was a thought experiment, a theoretical exploration of what could be possible. His notebooks were his laboratory, where he could test ideas without the expense and danger of building them. The Ariel screw was a seed, a conceptual breakthrough that planted the idea of vertical flight into the minds of future innovators, and that seed did eventually sprout. While Leonardo's design didn't directly lead to the modern helicopter, his work on flight was studied and admired for centuries. His methodical approach to engineering and his belief in the power of observation inspired countless others. Fast forward to the early 20th century, and pioneers like Igor Sikorsky, who is credited with creating the first practical, mass-produced helicopter, were standing on the shoulders of giants. While Sikorsky's VS-300 looked very different from the aerial screw, the fundamental principle of using a rotating wing to generate vertical lift was the very same idea Leonardo had envisioned over 400 years earlier. In a way, every helicopter that takes to the skies today carries a tiny spark of Leonardo's Renaissance genius. In 2013, a team of engineers finally put Leonardo's design to the test, but with a modern twist. They built a large-scale quadcopter drone inspired by the aerial screw's shape, calling it the Crimson Spin. Using modern lightweight materials and electric motors, the drone actually flew. It proved that Leonardo's core aerodynamic principle was sound. He was just limited by the technology of his time. It's a beautiful tribute showing that with the right tools, his 500-year-old idea could finally take flight. It makes you wonder what else he could have achieved with today's resources. So, was Leonardo's helicopter a failure? Absolutely not. It was a spectacular vision of the future. It represents the power of human curiosity and the relentless drive to push beyond the known horizon. It reminds us that every great invention starts with a seemingly crazy idea. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't just an artist who painted the Mona Lisa. He was a scientist, an engineer, and a dreamer who dared to look at the sky and say, "We can go there." His notebooks are a testament to a mind that was constantly questioning, exploring, and inventing. The aerial screw is perhaps the most famous example of his futuristic thinking, a symbol of a man who was truly living in the future. What do you think? Could you imagine the courage it would have taken to even propose such an idea back then? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It's incredible to think about how one person's imagination can echo through centuries. Thanks so much for watching and exploring this piece of history with me. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next deep dive into the marvels of the past. Until next time, stay curious.